You just yawned. Maybe not right now, but sometime today, without deciding to, your mouth opened wide, your eyes watered, and your whole body paused for exactly 1 second. You didn't choose it. You didn't need it. And you have no idea why it happened. Most people think a yawn means you're tired. That's the story you were told as a kid. But that story is wrong, or at least incomplete. And the real explanation reaches back further than language, further than fire, further than almost anything else you do every single day. Here's the strange part. You don't just yawn when you're tired. You yawn when someone else yawns. You yawn when you read the word yawn enough times. You're probably close to yawning right now. That's not a coincidence. That's a 300,000-year-old signal firing exactly the way it was built to. Let's go back. Not to your last boring meeting. Back to a small group of early humans huddled together on the African savanna, watching the light change color as the sun drops toward the horizon. Night is coming, and night is dangerous. Predators move differently in the dark. Vision fails. Every member of the group needs to shift into a different state at roughly the same time, or the whole group is vulnerable. So how do you synchronize 20 brains without saying a word? You yawn. Dr. Robert Provine, a behavioral neuroscientist who spent decades studying yawning, found something that should have been obvious but wasn't. Yawning isn't really about oxygen, and it isn't really about tiredness either. His research showed that yawning is deeply, almost violently contagious, and that contagion is the actual point. It's not a symptom, it's a signal. Think about what a yawn actually does to your body. Your jaw stretches open. Your eyes narrow or close. Your breathing changes. Your heart rate shifts slightly. For 1 second, your senses dim and your whole nervous system resets. Now imagine an entire tribe doing that at the same moment, right before dusk. That's not fatigue leaking out. That's coordination. Here's where it gets stranger. Yawning isn't unique to humans. Chimpanzees yawn. Dogs yawn when their owners yawn. Even some fish display something close to it. This behavior is old. Older than your species. Older than upright walking, some researchers believe. It survived hundreds of thousands of years of evolutionary pressure, which means it must have been doing something important. Evolution doesn't preserve useless habits, it deletes them. So what was it protecting? Group cohesion, timing, safety. Psychologist Elizabeth Cerulli led studies using PET scans to examine which brain regions activate when people watch others yawn. What she found points to the same neural circuitry involved in empathy and social bonding. The precuneus, a region tucked deep in your brain, lights up when you catch a yawn from someone else. This is the same region involved in imagining another person's internal state. In other words, yawning contagion isn't a glitch. It's your brain quietly asking, "Are you feeling what I'm feeling?" That question mattered more back then than it does now. If your entire tribe felt drowsy at the same time, they could rest at the same time and stay alert at the same time. Nobody was left half awake on watch while everyone else slept deeply. Nobody was left wide awake and anxious while the rest of the group drifted off. The group's internal clocks locked together like a single organism instead of 20 separate ones. You still carry that mechanism. It just doesn't know it's 2026. Here's a detail that will change how you see every office meeting for the rest of your life. Studies on contagious yawning, including work referenced by primatologist Matthew Campbell, found that people are far more likely to catch a yawn from someone they're emotionally close to than from a stranger. Family members catch each other's yawns constantly. Close friends, often. Acquaintances, rarely. Strangers, almost never. That's not random. That's your ancient tribal circuitry, still running in the background, still asking who belongs to your group and who doesn't. Your brain is measuring social closeness in real time, using a yawn as the ruler. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If you're sitting across from someone right now and they yawn and you don't catch it, what is your brain quietly telling you about that relationship? Let's go further, because there's a twist buried in this that most people never learn. Yawning also happens before major shifts in state. Not just before sleep. Athletes yawn right before a competition, at the exact moment their heart rate should be rising, not falling. Skydivers yawn right before jumping. Musicians yawn in the wings before walking on stage. None of these people are tired. They're the opposite of tired. They're activated. This is the part that breaks the yawning means fatigue myth completely. Researchers now believe yawning may function as a kind of neurological reset button, a way for your brain to increase alertness and prepare for a state transition, whether that transition is falling asleep or stepping into a spotlight. Your brain uses the same gesture to say, wind down and gear up, because both moments require the same thing: a shift, a recalibration, a synchronized reboot of attention, which means every yawn you've ever dismissed as boredom might actually be your nervous system doing something closer to a system update. Now think about your last video call. Somebody yawned on camera, and within seconds, 2 or 3 other people yawned too, muted, half hidden behind a hand. That wasn't rudeness. That was 300,000 years of tribal wiring trying to synchronize a group that evolution never designed to sit in front of glowing rectangles. Your body doesn't know the difference between a campfire circle and a zoom grid. It just sees other faces, and it starts doing what it has always done: reading them, mirroring them, syncing with them. There's one more piece of this that deserves your attention. Not everyone catches yawns equally. Research has repeatedly found that contagious yawning is less common in young children, and notably reduced in individuals with certain differences in social processing, including some studies involving individuals on the autism spectrum. Scientists interpret this as further evidence that yawning contagion is tied to social attunement, to that ancient wordless system for reading and matching another person's state. When that particular circuitry works differently, the contagious yawn often does too. That single observation tells you something enormous. A yawn is not a mouth stretching. A yawn is a social transmission, a piece of ancient data passed silently from one nervous system to another saying, notice me, feel what I feel, move with the group. You've been fluent in this language your entire life, and you never once studied it. So the next time you catch someone's yawn across a room, or a screen, or a dinner table, pay attention to that half-second delay. That's not politeness. That's not mimicry. That's your ancestors' oldest form of communication reaching straight through you, unchanged, unnoticed, and still working exactly the way it was built to work on a darkening savanna a very long time ago. You just yawned again, didn't you? Or you're close. Either way, the signal reached you. It always does. It's been reaching every human it's ever met for 300,000 years, and it isn't going to stop now.